Check.
Chakalaka. Check chakalaka.
Oh yeah.
Mikey, techie, Mikey, phony, tasty. Hello?
I don't hear anything, Rabbi.
I don't either.
You don't hear any what?
My mic?
Ding.
Oh, I was doing something else. Go ahead.
Mike. Now it's coming out.
Mike no está aquí.
It's booming.
Because you're right in front of the
Big bada boom.
You're right in front of the speaker.
You know that one? Big bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. Yep.
Remember that movie?
I didn't know it was a movie.
Yeah, it's The Fifth Element.
With, what's his name? Mhm. What was his name?
Bruce Willis.
I've seen that. Yeah, I like that movie.
The alien girl that came from outer space. Yeah, she kept saying, big bada boom.
That's not the fifth element.
Yeah. Space age.
No, there's no space alien. The fifth element, he's dead.
No, you're talking about the fifth sense or something like that. Sixth sense. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I am.
It's pretty good. She's pretty scantily clad at the beginning.
There's another one with him in it, and there's a girl in it. 25th. He's a taxi driver. Money?
Benson? Yeah? I'm trying to remember how to take and turn Rabbi's body back down. Still slightly overdrive. It's not near as fast as it used to.
Can you unlock it first?
Yes.
Okay, press
But
the
now it's
menu
still
button.
unlocking it.
Oh, you took too long.
Lock, unlock, and hit set, and it's unlocked, right?
Yep.
Shabbat is Tish B'Av,
Yep.
except on the calendar they moved it to Sunday so that it wouldn't interfere with the Sabbath. So we're not supposed to fast on the Sabbath.
Yep.
What is the significance of that day? Is that a vision of man or?
Destruction of both of the temples happened on the same day.
Shane, Karen, you see looking back up? Let me see if I got rid of the last bit of that overdrive static.
Okay. Special delivery.
You say you're gonna leave early?
No, sir.
Are we going to cross tonight?
I didn't plan to, sir. I don't have the money for it.
Okay, okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
Last week I had sweet stuff for Beth and let her know, and also I did that as well because I knew we weren't having a Wednesday night meeting, so.
Well, this coming Wednesday is the week we hit.
Yeah, no, tomorrow night we are doing it, tomorrow night.
And I can't come cool off the building because I won't be in town.
Oh.
I'm taking tomorrow off, so
Oh,
be forewarned.
Let's leave the
Okay.
setting on about 85 or something
Yeah.
like that. But
80.
then get up to 90 something.
80. About
Okay,
80
is
good.
he hitting
But
back up?
we could actually do,
I need him turned on so I can readjust after I do that.
we could actually do our meeting at my house if you want. And then we don't have to heat the building or cool the building.
We eat buildings? I didn't know we were that kind of carnivorous type of people.
Did you call me a carnivorous?
I called you a
Can you
rabbi,
be loud,
that's all.
Rabbi?
Roger,
Oh,
Tish B'Av, Tisha means 9,
you have some more business cards
and
right here.
B'Av is the month that just started. I
That don't
think.
sound like, it doesn't look on the meter like it changes on the battery pack.
No, it starts.
Rabbi, what?
The new month starts soon.
It's in there at the bottom.
Do I need to adjust that camera?
So we're supposed to fast from Saturday, Shabbat night,
No,
Sunday
You can
night?
do what you want to do.
Professor, can you check his battery
Yeah,
pack?
from
Make sure
Saturday
it
night.
stayed negative?
What is it?
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to her.
Shane,
She is. You can operate the camera.
Oh,
Shane,
Yeah.
Larry needs a favor.
Can you check to see if it stayed at negative 30?
Rabbi, you're gonna need the stand-up
okay,
shot.
stand up.
Okay.
Get on your mark. Get set. We got a mark up there.
Oh, well, if you don't know how to do it, it means I have to take it
Kind of in
back.
front of the flag.
What?
If you don't know how to check it, that means I have to do it again.
What do I need to check?
I wanna make sure that, sensitivity is at negative 30, cause it's overdriving the system.
There you go. Got something to zoom in on now. Oh, your mark.
I have to stand on my mark, but Shane's standing on it. I cannot do a juxtaposition.
Okay.
Just zoom in on Shane.
There you go.
Oh, Larry, I need the other headphones, please.
It's muted.
You take this.
Which
headphone
camera is
here.
working? That one?
Aim it at me. I'm in the center of it.
Here you go, Roberta.
Okay.
All right, just center.
More zoom than that, though.
Zoom in,
thank you.
chest height.
You done?
No, no, zoom in chest height.
Oh, chest height, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on a moment.
Thank you. I'll bring this back here and then pass it off to Larry.
Is that enough?
A little higher. I mean, a little more.
No, it went back to
Zoom
where
in.
it was.
Okay.
Not quite at chest height, we're at belly height.
Well, I was just trying to tell you, you need to miss your baby.
Are you trying to shoot my big belly and make me look big?
No, we're trying to get that out of the picture.
That's
Da,
what
da,
I
da.
that's what I was trying to say, just trying to say where you do. Shoot your belly.
Okay, it's ready now, Shane.
Am I ready now? May I sit down?
Yes, you may. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
And then just leave it there for for him to stand up, and he'll get back on his mark and.
When I stand up to lead it in prayer, it's already said.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm not ready.
Well, too bad, I'm ready.
We got 2 minutes.
Oh.
In a little bit, Shannon, I'll need you to come for me so I can make the restroom run when I get done.
That thing moves
Okay,
all
so
on
I
its
don't
own.
need to move it, right?
No, not
No,
yet.
you don't need to
Not
move
yet.
it. You don't need to move it,
Last one needs
he'll
to
stand on his spot.
pray.
Okay.
Okay, Rabbi needs you on.
Rabbi,
I'm
you
on.
Unmute.
The microphone's right here on my head.
That's not what we meant. You're muted.
I'm muted.
Now
You're not now. Okay, now talk.
Mic unmuted. Mic unmuted.
Oh, man, it cleaned up his sound a lot.
Make sure to release a little bit of his nasal frequency. It sounded a little bit short. Cut off. Morning.
A lot of that problem is with overdriving. And I just changed the overdriving, so I gotta check everything now. Rabbi,
I'm rejoicing.
in a non-zombie voice.
I am rejoicing.
Mute.
In a non-Vulcan voice.
I need to say.
The Vulcan voice.
That's more of a Klingon voice.
Klingon, yeah, you're right, Klingon.
Well, shalom, everyone. I want to welcome you to our tonight's weekly Torah class. We're going to be studying Devarim. That's Deuteronomy. It means the words. So please join us and study along.
Hey. Yochannan, would you mind grab me a Coke out of that refrigerator? Coke Zero. And a red cup. I hear you.
Now, we didn't ask if you were alive. We did ask.
Ani mevin. Ken.
Maybe or maybe not.
Oh, don't you do that to me. And I'll have to ask you what happened. Okay. Well, hello, everyone on the internet. I hope you're joining us live right now. And if you didn't, then that's a blessing from God. Amen. Because that means you didn't get to hear what we were cracking up over when we first started.
Or it means that you're here already.
אני אוהב ללמוד התורה.
So, you better.
אני read.
No, that's right.
כיתה would be right. אני קרא? No. Anyway, I read the Torah cold eighth. The whole tree. And did you notice that there's not once in this parashah that it says the word of the Lord?
He stopped saying that after the issue with the spies. Vaydaber is used in here, but it's not used. Vaydaber Moshe was used as a...
No, Vaydaber Yahweh is not used in it
Oh, Vaydaber Yahweh El Moshe is not used
anymore.
because that was a loving type of term, and God's mad at them.
So why, what does the commentary say about the opening of the book of Deuteronomy? Does it say this is the words of Moses?
Yes, it does. It has a very good commentary on that.
And it does not say this is the word of Yahweh, does it?
Yep.
We are live. We're just having a little pre-discussion here. Y'all can listen and enjoy if you want.
In Deuteronomy, Moshe chose the words and conveyed the commandments as he understood them.
So what is the book of Deuteronomy? What is its ambition? What's its point?
To catch everyone up to speed, these youngsters that came along that have not died in the wilderness, the children of the ones who did die in the wilderness, to get them ready to enter the land that God has given to them.
So why did he bother going back and reiterating all of the stuff that he had already written in the Torah?
That's a very good question. Very good question. Because there are not that many new commandments. There's only 70 new commandments. 70.
Expand the window.
Of the 100.
Zoom in on John and your mom. Well, he was following my instructions this time.
Trying to get to the IP address is what I was
I'm sorry.
It says IP address is .1.28. Is that correct or incorrect?
Rabbi, can I get you to get a little loud for a second or two while she's doing that?
Mic test.
Oh, fantastic. It's a lot better quality sound. Do that again.
Mic test.
A little louder.
Microphone test.
No more overdrive. Good. Got rid of it.
remote or ITV2?
Sorry about that, folks at home watching on the internet. We had to test this microphone out. It's been distorting a lot lately, and we needed to find out why. Now we found out why and fixed it.
The whole of Deuteronomy was recorded in 5 weeks before Moshe died.
Just over a month.
The whole book of Deuteronomy was the span of time was 5 weeks. Deuteronomy?
He's asking you if it's okay.
Oh, this is commentary. Hey, Olivia, look.
This is the commentary from the commentators.
The reading right here, and all this is commentary. I got a lot of commentary.
Not the Chumash on Deuteronomy? Yeah. Hallelujah. Let's go ahead and have an opening prayer. Well, it's a good thing to study Torah. And we love the Torah. We love Messiah. We love the Torah. We thank God for the Messiah because he gives us the ability to obey the Torah. So what do we do with it? A lot of people waste it. Don't be wasteful with the things of God. Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in the heavens, we look up to you and honor you this evening, the author of life, the finisher of the faith, the Ancient of Days, the Holy One of Israel. We come into your presence tonight to study, and we count this study time as a form of worship and revering of you. So we ask you to be with us tonight as we study and open up your word and help us to dig deeper than we've ever gone before. Everybody repeat it. Lord, I'm hungry. I ask you to feed me. And I am thirsty, Lord. I ask you for living water, so I'll have plenty to pour out on others. In the name of Messiah Yeshua. Amen. Baruch Hashem. You may be seated, and I will be seated too. Give me a second to get my battery pack, my pack here packed on, so it doesn't go one way and me the other. Something. Huh?
Put it on your pocket.
Well, I could. Wanted it up here because when I sit down, it catches on things. All right. This is a good day.
Hallelujah.
This is a day. This is a day that the Lord has made. Well, if you haven't heard it already from dear Lucifina, she announced tonight's Torah parashah being the beginning of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 1. And it starts off, Eleh hadebarim asher diber Moshe el kol Israel ba'ever ha'yardan ba'midbar ha'arba mul suf. Bain Paran, Ubain Tofal, V'Lavan, V'Hatzerot, V'Dizahav. And this is really, these are just packed full of morsels, all these words. Gold nuggets, and Zahav is gold. Okay, it starts off, Eleh ha-debarim. Debarim is where we get the name of the book, Deuteronomy, but it doesn't sound quite like it to English ears, but it is. Debarim. These are the matters or the words which Deber, which spoke Moses el kol Israel. It's a whole different mood here at the beginning of Deuteronomy. Different from the rest of Torah.
Right.
And that the rest of the book start off by Daber Yahweh el Moshe, and the word of Yahweh to Moses saying. And he gives him instructions. But here it doesn't start that way. It says, these are the words which spoke Moses to all of the people of Israel in crossing over the Jordan. It says on this side, but really Avar is where we get the word over. And it's in crossing over the Jordan. Bamidbar, in the wilderness. Ba'arav, Arva. Ba'arva means literally, it can mean a desert. It's understood to be a desert. Mul Sof, it means over against the sea, the Red Sea. It's actually the Reed Sea. Bain Paran, Ubain Tofal means between Paran and Tofal. And Lavan means Lebanon. Vahatzerot, and Hatzerot, which is a place in Israel, in the Middle Eastern region. And then it says Vadizahav. What does D mean? Have you ever celebrated Passover?
Yes.
What about as far as building?
What do we sing just before we eat?
Die,
Die, die, die, die, die. Okay, so D means sufficient. Dayenu means it's sufficient for us. So D means sufficient, and Zahav means gold. In other words, where there is plenty of gold. The literal meaning of that. Then in verse 2, Achad. What's Achad mean? One. Achad Asar. What does Asar mean?
10.
10. So on the 11th day, or 11 days, it means literally 11 days, Yom, days, Mechorev, from Horeb. So from the time we left Horeb, the way of Mount Hasir unto Kadesh Barnea, that's 11 days. Okay, let's just get to the, I think that was, yeah, this is the next verse, sorry. Verse 3, and it was in the 40th, Arba'im means 40,
Mm-hmm.
in the 40th Shana, year,
Mm-hmm.
but Ashte,
Yeah.
Asar. Ashte is a noun that literally means 11, and then Asar, 10. So this is kind of a little confusing here as far as the numbering system goes. Because normally they would put Echad Aser for 11, but here this word, Ashte, literally means the 11th. Asar as another word. Let me just bring that Asar up. It just means 10. Okay, so this can also mean teen, 11 teen.
Okay.
So I knew there was a link here, but I just had to get back to it and rediscover it. So the 11th is a prime number. A prime number just means 11. And Asar means teen. So we've got the 11th month. The 11th, that's kind of clumsy in English, but it works in Hebrew. But Echad, on the first, Lachodesh of the month, Diber Moses, the word of Moses to Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, and everything that Sivah has commanded Yahweh unto him, unto them, the children of Israel there. Verse 4, Acharei means after. Hakoto, he had slain at Sichon. Sichon is the king of the Amorites. I think it's interesting that the Amorites is actually a word that means speakers. Emor.
Sayers.
Asher Yoshev, which dwelt by Heshbon, in the area of Heshbon. And then the sign of the direct object, Og, Melech HaBashan. Og is the king of Bashan.
He's a giant.
Which dwelt in Ashtaroth. And Ashtaroth is the name of that pagan deity that we're not supposed to be giving any honor to. It's the plural form of Asheroth. the name of a Sidonian deity and of a place east of Jordan. What's the difference between that and the name of the tribe, Asher?
Well, Asher was one of the 12 sons of Israel.
What does Asher mean?
Oh, sorry. Except I don't have an answer.
Why don't you get the mic and take it back there? The wireless, okay. So what does Asher mean?
Well, Asher means witch.
Asher means witch, yes. But it's spelled with an aleph instead of an ayin. We're looking at this root.
Okay.
Ashtarot. And it literally is the same as Asher. Asher means happy.
Oh, all right. I've heard that before.
And that the reason for this is because the Ashtaroth is the goddess of the pagan fertility goddess of the Middle East. And the men would go in and have sexual relations with the priestesses. And, of course, they were smiling when they came out.
They were happy.
Oh, wait. Then we have Edrei. It literally means mighty. Another place says it's warrior. Power, force. Next we come to verse 5. Now, remember, ever means what? But they said on this side of. Why did they say on this side of? It actually means literally in crossing over the Jordan. So, but ever means in crossing over. And what are they crossing over? The Jordan. Make sense? But Eretz Moab, in the land of Moab. Remember, I was confused the other day on which word meant incestuous. Well, Moab means incestuous. Hoil means they began. Began Moshe be'ever, to declare, be'ever. I can't read that vowel if that's supposed to be a be'er. Be'er, to declare, et ha-Torah, the law, hazot, lemor, saying, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh our God, Diber Eleinu, unto us, Behorev, in Horeb, the area known as Horeb, to say, Rav Lechem Shevet Bahar Hazeh. Shevet means to dwell in. So Yahweh was telling them, you've been dwelling here in this mountain long enough. Rav Lechem, enough for you, essentially. Doesn't mean that literally, means essentially. Panu means to turn your face. Usau, and journey. Lechem, to you all. Bo, and go to Har Ha-Emori, the mountain of the speakers. and unto kol means all or every, shechinah, every, you could say neighbor of them, of him, every neighbors of them. Ba'arava in the Arava, the plain, Bahar in the hills, Bashaphelah, Shaphelah in the valley, Negev in the south, Bachouf and by the side, Hayam, the sea. Eretz Canaani, the land of the Canaanites, V'halivanun, Lebanon. Lebanon literally means white. Unto the river Hanahar, Ha-Gadol, the great river.
Yeah, that would be the Euphrates.
Uh-huh. Parat, that's the Euphrates. Nahar, Parat. And then it says, Ra'eh. Now they translated that behold, but that does not mean behold, but it means something similar to behold. It means look or see. Natati, I have set lifanechem, before you, et ha'eretz, bo'u, go in, urishu. What does rish mean? And yarish? So this is actually to inherit et ha'aretz, the land, asher, which nishva, and nishva means literally swear, or which he swore. Generally speaking, he swore, and Yahweh is who did this swearing. Le'avotechem, to your fathers. LaAbraham, LaYitzchak, Yaakov. To Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To give, latate means to give, lahem unto them, uzarim, and to their seed, acharehem, after them. Vayomer elechem, Omar, yeah. And I spoke. I'll have to explore that word a little bit more because that's unusual. Because usually Aleph preceding it would be I, but probably the Aleph absorbed an Aleph. That's what I'm thinking.
Amar means I spoke.
Right.
Amar would mean he spoke. This would be the form of it.
But there doesn't have anything there to indicate it was he who said I spoke. So that's kind of confusing.
Oh, I see what you mean, because the Aleph is already there.
Exactly. It could be that the Aleph absorbed an Aleph. That's about all I can think of.
Yeah.
Elechem, and I spoken to you all, ba'et ha'hiv. Ba'et. I said eights a while ago, but it shouldn't be tzadi, it should be a tav. Ba'et. Anyway, ba'et, eight means time, at that time. Hahiv means of that particular time, saying, Lo ukal, I cannot libadi, by myself, sha'it, carry, itkim, you all. So the et here is the sign of the direct object, showing what he's not able to carry. She'et means to carry or to bear. Verse 10, Yahweh Elohechem, your God, Y'all's God, hereby has causatively multiplied you all. Do not aim those microphones at Vince, please. That's where the noise is coming from. Listen carefully for the sound of the air conditioner, Vince, and see if it's coming out too loudly. We may have to just put that microphone right up against somebody's mouth in order to make it work. Well, huh? We're trying to fix the problems that we've had on sound for our Bible studies, and so y'all please bear with us as we try to work on that while we're doing the teaching as well. So Yahweh your God has multiplied you, has caused you to be increased or multiplied. And y'all behold, Hayom means, what happened? This is the word day, Yom. What happens when you put the ha in front of Yom? Yochannan.
It makes it, well, literally it's, how's that for sound? Literally it then makes it the day, but in Hebrew, Hayom means today,
Correct.
this day.
That's exactly right. And so you behold this day. The you on hin ham is the ham. That's y'all. It's a plural ending, masculine ending. So y'all can behold this day, kikokve, like the stars, hashamayim of the heavens, larov, in greatness, in multitude, right? Yahweh Eloheka avotechem, Yahweh Elohei avotechem, the God of your fathers. Yosef, and that doesn't mean Joseph, but that is his name. But it means has increased Aleichem, on you, Kichem, as y'all are, Aleph, thousands, Pa'amim. Now, Pa'amim literally means turnings. Thousands of times, in other words. Okay? So, as you are 1,000 turnings, or times increased, the barech, and that's the word barech means to bless. So he has blessed etachem, y'all, ki asher, as which, diber lachem, he spoke to you all. So he has increased you and blessed you. Echa is an interrogative. It is essentially saying how. There are other understandings for this, but it's an interrogative. So he's asking a question. How, Asa, can I bear up or lift you up? Libadi, by myself. Tarchachim, the encumbrance of you all. Y'all are a heavy load. That's what he's saying. Umasha'achem, and your burdens, v'rivchem, and your strife. How can I bear you up by myself? 13. Havu. That means literally, y'all go or take to you. What does your Chumash say on verse 13, second word?
Him.
It says lachem.
To y'all. Anashim. Okay, yeah. It's missing the mem safit.
La, though, I got it standing here by itself.
Oh, it's missing lechem, the whole word.
Lachem.
Lechem.
So that's the problem there. Lachem anashim, take for you men, hakamim, wise, and nevonim, understanding, v'duaim, and known, l'shivatechem, among your leaders, your tribes. Shevat means literally a leader's staff, a ruler's staff. V'asimim, and I will make them. I'll say, oh, say shalom, bimromav. And so va'anasim, I will simim. I will make them barashechem, heads. The root, the shorts there is rashe, meaning the rosh or head. So he's going to set them up to be heads over them. V'ta'anu, and you responded, oti, unto me, velo maru, and you said, Tomaru, yeah. V'tomaru, you said, Tov hadavar, good is the word or matter. Ashir dibarta, you spoke, la'asot, to do. The plural form of the word oseh. V'ikach, so I took et Rashi, the chiefs of Shebatechem, your tribes, Anashim, men, Hakamim, wise, Viduim, and known, Va'etan, and made or gave them, Otam is them, Rashim, heads, Alechem, over you, Sharei, captains.
Sorry.
Huh?
Sorry.
Oh, Sarah, it is on the other side. Okay. Sarei Elephem, what is this word here?
1,000.
Oh, the root, the shorish.
Aleph.
Elef means 1,000, and you multiplied it, so it's thousands, plural. Vasarei, and captains over. Mayot, and mayot means hundreds, plural. Vasarei, captains over. Hamashim, 50s. Vasarei, captains. Asarot, of tens. Okay, hold on. Give me a second, my brain will clear. V'shotreim, officers. Shotarim, officers. Yes, sir?
Did you finish the tens?
I got one more word on the verse. L'shivtechem, and among your tribes.
Okay,
Officers among
well,
your
if we add that up, for every 1,000 people, 131 leaders. You got one leader for the 1,000. You got you know, 10,000.
But each leader of 1,000 has leaders under him.
Yeah. Leaders of 100, so there's 10 hundreds. So there's 11. Leaders of 50s, and there's, to make 1,000, there's, what?
You're making my brain work too hard tonight.
But it ends up adding up to 131 per
Right.
1,000 people. And that's a lot of leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So we're supposed to,
1.6 million people.
many of us are supposed to be leaders, not just a few.
Correct.
I guess that's what I glean out of that.
Sure. You know, when I founded Zion, I looked to the model that Moses established based upon the word of Jethro, his father-in-law. Right. And I decided that Zion should be built on that same model. Unfortunately, over the past few years, we haven't had but about 20 people here. So we haven't had enough people to try to implement that. But it's in my heart and mind to implement it if it grows to the point that I think it's going to. I believe it will too.
Amen.
Now we see proper use of the aleph. What does tzav mean? Tzaveh?
Instruct or command?
Correct. And the aleph in front of it turns that verb into I commanded. Since it's at the beginning of the word, it needs to have the tense reversed on it, so it's evolved conversive.
Oh, it is.
And then,
Fascinating.
et shaftechem, your judges, the judges of y'all. But 8, there's that word again, at time, hahiv, at that time, lemor, shemoah, hear, bain ha'achim,
Can I say something?
here between the brothers, and judge tzaddik, righteousness, bain ish ubain achiv, between a man and his brothers, and between gero, the sojourners that are among you.
Huh. His sojourners.
Gero, his sojourner. I think I'm going to go ahead and slip back over to the English until we get past this section.
Can I show the students one thing before we do it?
Absolutely.
Oh, you took it off the screen.
We can go back.
That word hahi. There, that word that has that underneath it. That, yes, could be the translation, but the word itself is the wrong tense. If you take away that little dot underneath the hey, the second hey, it actually is pronounced hahu, which would be
Masculine.
a masculine form, but it's out of place in the masculine form. So because that's the way they do it in biblical Hebrew. That's the way Moshe wrote.
However,
Yeah.
look at the previous word.
Can't see it.
By 8.
Ba'it hahi, that's the way he always wrote it.
But, what is that?
Tav,
Masculine or feminine?
feminine.
So it does match, because that time is a descriptor of 8.
That's why they did it like they did. But then hahi should be spelled with an aleph, not a vav. Hahu is spelled with a vav.
I understand.
And so then when you're reading the Torah scroll itself, which has no vowel points,
Ha-hu.
yeah, you're going to see hahu, but you're going to have to know the feminine tense of the word.
One of the things about reading in the Torah is that these adjectives and other parts of the sentence don't always agree feminine and masculine like they should.
Right.
In modern Hebrew, they're very picky about that, but in
Very.
Torah Hebrew, they're less concerned about keeping those lined up.
Right.
Shemoah is Shema Yisrael, right? Here between Ahikam, the brothers, and judge Tzaddik Bain Ish U Bain Achiv. Judge righteously between a man and his brother, and between the Geron, the sojourners, the Egyptians that are traveling with you, or whoever.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, they still got Egyptians with them.
And this is Lo Tahiru, you shall not show respect of persons, Panim. Don't recognize faces when you're judging. If you recognize the face, then you may tend to judge in their favor. And God's saying, righteous judgment, you should not recognize anybody as being special and give partial judgments in that manner.
Then it nullifies your position as judge from being neutral.
Correct. We're told not to be partial in our judgments.
Understood.
And we're the small, a person who is of lesser known or lesser stature in the community, or gadol, of greatness in the community. Tishmaun, and this is the nun on the end of this word, the shorish is shema. Tishma, you shall hear. And the un on the end of it makes it imperative. You shall hear.
Emphatic.
Emphatic. Not taguru. You shall not be afraid. Mifnei, in the face of ish, a man. Ki hamishpata, mishpat, excuse me.
Yeah.
The judgment, Elohim, is God's, and the cause that is too hard. Ye kaseh, kaseh, mikam, it's too hard for you. He shall bring to me, Ushma Tiv, and I will hear it. Now, I'm going to go for the few minutes here in the English so we can make some more speed on our journey.
That's fine.
I love reading it in Hebrew. Frankly, I don't have time to really work it to the depth that I would like to work it and read it in Hebrew to you. So I'm going to ask y'all to just study some on your own. Get you a good Strong's Concordance and look up some of these words and just see what the roots are and what it actually means, how it's being translated. And so that'll enrich or depth, make deeper your studies.
Oh yeah.
Verse 18. I had it up here. You are not to show favoritism when judging, but give equal attention to the small and to the great. No matter how a person presents himself, don't be afraid of him, because the decision is God's. Now, there's a question in my mind about the use of the word God here. The essence of it is, those of you who are these judges and leaders in the community are to be like Elohim to the people. And that you should not be afraid of them, but they should fear you, because you represent the final authority, which would be the priest and Yahweh. So when it says, because the decision is God's, that's the word Elohim, but you all are part of this panel of Elohim.
Yeah.
You're not the people who are on trial here or hearing their judgment matters out, but you are the panel of God in the front of the people.
Good.
The case that is too hard for you, bring to me, and I will hear it. I also gave you orders at that time. There's a Ba'etayon, Hahiv, rather, Ba'etahiv.
Mm-hmm.
I gave orders at that time concerning all the things you were to do. So we left Horeb, went through all the vast, fearsome desert which you saw on the way to the hill country of the Amori, as Adonai our God ordered us, and we arrived at Kadesh Barnea. There I said to you, you have come to the hill country of the Amori. Now, there's a question here in my mind about how much of this should be understood to be jointly literal and esoteric. Because the hill country is usually where you hear from God or speak with God. God speaks back to you. And Imori means literally they speak.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's very interesting to see these words used as metaphor as well as literal.
May I say something?
Hmm?
All of these places have meaning. These are places they've been before, and Moshe is not just mentioning them. Well, we went here and we went here. He's telling them we went here and something happened here.
Yes,
And it wasn't exactly good.
that's exactly right.
That's what he's doing. He's showing them. He's chastising them without chastising them. I think it's really a good way to work with people. Be a people.
Right.
Be a people person.
That's cool.
It says, look, Adonai your God has placed a land before you. Go up and take possession as Adonai, the God of your ancestors, has told you. Don't be afraid. Did you know you're commanded not to be afraid?
Mm-hmm.
If you're following God's instructions, you don't need to get fearful. And don't be dismayed. You approached me, every one of you, and said, let's send men ahead of us to explore the country for us and bring back word concerning what route we should use in going up and what the cities we will encounter are like. Now, this sounds contrary to the other reference to this same event.
Why?
Because it said that God spoke to Moses and told him to send spies up.
Did he, or did Moshe ask if they could?
Read it. It's a good book. So that's a little puzzling to me because I see there, on the one hand, that God's instructed Moses to send in spies, and on the other hand, you people approached me and said it would be a good idea to send spies in. Well, it probably both happened, okay? Because I believe the Torah. So he may have asked God about sending spies in because the people asked him if they should.
That would make sense.
And he then approached God, and God said, yes, send spies in. So God told him to send the spies in.
I think
So
that's what it was.
I think that it's probably both accounts are true and correct. They would be harmonious together in that sense.
You think, or do you believe?
I'm confused. It's confusing. It's a little confusing to me, but believing the Torah, I can make sense out of it by mashing the two stories together. The idea seemed good to me, so I took 12 of your men, one from each tribe, and sent out up the hills and came to Eshcol Valley and reconnoitered it. And that's the spying out of the land, the tour.
The Eshol is the grapes
That's the cluster of grapes.
cluster.
And they sent out and went up to the hills and came to Eshcol Valley and reconnoitered it. They took some of the produce of the land and brought it down to us, and they also brought back word to us. The land Adonai, our God, is giving to us is good. But you would not go up. Instead, you rebelled against the order of Adonai, your God, and in your tents you complained. It's because Adonai hated us that he has brought us out of the land of Egypt, only to hand us over to the Amorite to destroy us.
Whoops.
What a problem here. What sort of a place is it that we're heading for? Our brothers made our courage fail when they said the people are bigger and taller than we are. The cities are great and fortified up to the sky, and finally we have seen Anakim there. The giants are there. I answered unto you, don't be fearful, don't be afraid of them. Adonai your God is going ahead of you, will fight on your behalf, just as he accomplished all those things for you in Egypt before your eyes. And likewise, in the desert where you saw Adonai your God carried you like a man carries his child along the entire way. You traveled until you arrived at this place, yet in this matter you don't trust Adonai your God, even though he went ahead of you. He went ahead of you, seeking out places for you to pitch your tents and showing you which way to go, by fire at night and by cloud during the day. Adonai heard what you were saying and became angry and swore, not a single one of these people, these whole evil generation, will see the good land I swore to give to your ancestors, except Caleb the son of Jephunneh. He will see it, and I will give him his descendants the land he walked on, because he has faithfully followed. Also, because of you, Adonai was angry with me. Well, that's not exactly square either. God was angry with him because he struck the rock rather than speaking to it.
I was curious about that. Why would he?
This is Moses' words, not by command of God. You have to keep that in mind as you read this.
Yeah.
You're getting a little bit of a personal skewing on the nature of what was done, because Moses is sharing with us his input, his feelings in the matter. Okay? So he will, and he says, you too will not go in there. Yehoshua, the son of Nun, your assistant, he will go in there. So encourage him, because he will enable Israel to take possession of it. Moreover, your little ones, you said, would be taken as booty, and your children don't yet know good from bad. They will go in there. I will give it to them, and they will have possession of it. But as for you, yourselves, turn around and head into the desert by a road to the sea of Suf. Then you answered me, we have sinned against Adonai. Now we will go up and fight in accordance with everything Adonai our God has ordered us.
Too late.
No kidding. It becomes strange fire, doesn't it? And every man according to you put on his arms, considering it an easy matter to go up into the hill country. But Adonai said to me, tell the people, don't go up and don't fight, because I am not there with you. If you do, your enemies will defeat you. So I told you, but you wouldn't listen. Instead, you rebelled against Adonai's order, took matters into your own hands, and went up to the hill country, where the Amorite living in that hill country came out against you like bees, and defeated you in Seir, and chased you back all the way to Hormah. You returned and cried before Yahweh, but Yahweh neither listened to what you said or paid any attention. This is why you had to stay at Kadesh as long as you did. End of chapter 1. What does this go through? Chapter 3?
Yeah. Which is just a summary of what we've been essentially going through in Numbers.
So now he's going to be giving us the route that he took. And it's interesting to look up the names of those places where they stopped.
Yep.
And try to understand the root meanings of those names in with the storyline. We turned and began traveling into the desert along the road to the sea Suf, as Adonai had said to me. Sea of Reeds. And we skirted Mount Seir for a long time. Finally, Adonai said to me, you have been going around this mountain long enough. Head north and give this order to the people. You are to pass through the territory of your kinsmen. You are to pass through the territory of your kinsmen, the descendants of Esau, who have lived in Seir. They will be afraid of you, so be very cautious, and don't get into disputes with them, for I am not going to give you any of their land. No, not even enough for 1 foot to stand on. Inasmuch as I have given Mount Seir to Esau as his possession, pay them money for the food you eat, and pay them money for the water you drink. For Adonai your God has blessed you in everything your hands have produced. He knows that you have been traveling through this vast desert these 40 years. Adonai your God has been with you, and you have lacked nothing. So we went on past our kinsmen, the descendants of Esau, living in Seir, and left the road through the Arabah from Elat and Etzion Gever, and turned to pass along the road through the desert of Moab. And Adonai said to me, don't be hostile towards Moab, or fight with them, because I will not give you any of their land to possess, since I have already given it to the descendants of Lot, as their territory. Interesting.
Fascinating.
Then the Emim used to live there, and a great and numerous people as tall as the Anakim. They were also considered Raphaim as are the Anakim, but the Moabim called them Emim. In Seir, the Horim used to live, but the descendants of Esau dispossessed and destroyed them, settling in their place. It would be very interesting to put get a map up of the Middle East and this whole section, and put pins in there with tags on them showing who lived where and what.
Yes.
That would be a very interesting study, in my opinion.
Yeah.
See who were the earlier inhabitants, the Aboriginal inhabitants of the land, who came in and replaced them, and when and why, and then Israel comes in and replaces them.
And then where those are in modern day times now.
Yeah.
Rabbi, I noticed something that God said He gave other people the land. He didn't want them taking away what God already given them.
Well, let me tell you what the rabbinic tradition is concerning that subject. God came to the inhabitants of the land of Canaan, and He said,
Yes.
will you follow my Torah?
Right.
I want to give you my Torah. Will you follow it?
Right.
And they said, we don't know. What's in it? And it said, you shall not steal. Oh, but we make our living by stealing.
Right.
You know, we don't want that.
Right.
So they came to the next people and said, will you take my Torah? And they said, well, what's in it? And it says, you shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not kill. You shall not bear false witness against your brothers, and so on. And he went through the 70 nations that surround Israel there and tried to find someone who would receive his Torah, but they all said essentially the same thing. We don't know what's in it. When they heard what was in it, they said, oh, no, we can't accept that. That will go plumb against what we are.
But at least God offered.
Huh?
But the sages say at least He offered them, and when they refused, then He gave it to the children of Israel.
But it seems to say that God even did give to some of the inhabitants of the land the Torah, and then they broke it. And so He said He's waiting to give the land to Abraham until the sins of the people who lived there reached the fullness. So He wasn't going to give the land to Abraham and to his descendants until these people have completed the cycle of their sins. I think that's very interesting.
It also shows His mercy, His nature.
Uh-huh.
That He doesn't just go and destroy and commit genocide and destroy an entire nation of people or an entire city of people without just cause, without a context to the anger, the judgment, the action.
It said, notice down in verse 14, the time between our leaving Kadesh Barnea and our crossing Wadi Zered was 38 years
Yep.
until the whole generation of men capable of bearing arms had been eliminated from the camp, as Adonai had sworn they would be. Moreover, Adonai's hand was against them to root them out of the camp until the last of them was gone. When all of the men were able to bear arms had died and were no longer part of the people, Adonai said unto me, today you are to cross the border of Moab to Ar. When you approach the descendants of Ammon, don't bother them or fight with them, for I will not give you any of the territory of the people of Ammon to possess it, since I have given it to the descendants of Lot as their territory. This too is considered the land of the Raphim, and Raphim, whom the Emori called Zamzumim, used to live here. They were large, numerous people, as tall as the Anakim, but Adonai destroyed them as the people of Ammon advanced, settling in their place. Just as he destroyed Horim as the descendants of Esau advanced to Seir and settled in their place, where they live to this day. It was the same with the Avim, who lived in villages as far as Azah. The Kaftorim, coming from Kaftor, destroyed them and settled in their place.
Gaza would be Gaza.
Oh yeah, Gaza.
It says Gaza there, but my version says Gaza.
Correct. Get up, get moving, and cross the Arnon Valley. Here I have put in your hands Sichon the Emori king of Heshbon, and in his land commence the conquest, begin the battle. Today I will start putting the fear and dread of you on all the peoples under heaven, so that the mere mention of your name will make them quake and tremble before you. I sent envoys from Kedmot desert to Sichon king of Heshbon with a peaceable message. Let me pass through your land. I will keep to the road, turning neither to the right or the left. You will sell me food to eat for money and give me water to drink for money. I only want to pass through. Do as the people of Esau. Where did my cursor go? Oh, there it is. Do as the people of Esau living in Seir and the Moabim living in the Ar did with me, until I crossed Jordan into the land Adonai our God is giving us. But Sichon, king of Heshbon, would not let us pass through his territory, because Adonai your God had hardened his spirit and made him stubborn, so that he could hand them over to you, as the case is today. Adonai said to me, see, I have begun handing over Sichon and his territory before you. Start taking possession of his land. Then Sichon came out against us, and he and all his people, to fight at Yachatz. And Adonai our God handed him over to us, so that we defeated him, his sons, and all his people. At that time we captured all his cities and completely destroyed every city, men, women, and little ones. We left none of them. As booty for ourselves, we took only the cattle along with the spoil from we had captured. From Aurora to the edge of the Arnon Valley, and from the city in the valley all the way to Gilead, I believe. Gilead, yeah, I think that means a heap of witness. There was not one city too well fortified for us to capture. Adonai, your God, gave all of them to us. The only land you didn't approach was that of the descendants of Ammon, the region around the Yabuk River, and the cities in the hills, and where else Adonai our God forbade us to go. Wow. Covering a lot of ground, didn't he?
It's
Oh,
covering.
now we're going to find out how big King Og was in this next chapter.
Yep, in his big old bed.
And his huge bed.
Chapter 3, verse 1, then we turned and went up the road to Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us with his people to fight at Edrei. Adonai said to me, don't be afraid of him, for I have handed him and all his people, his territory, over to you, you will do to him as you did Sihon, king of Emori, who lived in Heshbon. So Adonai, our God, also handed over to us Og, the king of Bashan, with all of his people, and we defeated him until he had no one left. At that time we captured all of his cities. There was not one city of theirs that we didn't capture. There were 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All of them fortified cities with high walls, gates, and bars, in addition to a great number of unwalled towns. We completely destroyed them as we did with Sihon, king of Heshbon, annihilating every city, men, women, and little ones. But we took all the livestock, along with the spoils from the cities, as booty for ourselves. At that time we captured the territory of the two kings of Emori east of Jordan, between Arnon Valley and Mount Hermon, the Mount Hermon, which the Zidonim call Sidron and the Emori call Sneer. All the cities of the plain, all Gilead and all Bashan, and as far as Salcha and Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. Og of Bashan, king of Bashan, was the last survivor of the Raphim. His bed was made of iron. It's still in Rabbah with the people of Ammon. It was 9 cubits and 4 cubits wide, 13.5 by 6 feet. That's a
Commentary.
lot. Okay.
Okay, a cubit by a man's arm is from his elbow to the tip of his fingers. Mine's 18 inches.
Right.
Well, this was specifically by the cubit of that man. It was huge. So let's say by easy terms that his cubit was
Half
2
again,
feet.
maybe.
Yeah. Well, just say 2 feet.
Yeah.
So 9 cubits, he would have had to have been 18 feet tall,
Yeah.
at least, or at least his bed was that big.
One day I was teaching a class for young students, and we were talking about Goliath,
Yeah.
how tall he would have been. And I pointed to our ceiling. And I said, this ceiling is 10 feet. And that's about what this one is, 10 feet. He would have been an additional 8 feet, 18 feet. And how tall was David?
He was a teenager.
He was 6 feet probably. Maybe. He's a shrimp. And his only weapon that he brought in there was his slingshot. A well-trained and equipped warrior. He had been fighting since his youth. He's a well-seasoned warrior. King David comes in there with nothing but his little bag, kind of like a fanny pack with about 5 stones. I think there were 5 stones in his bag.
His fanny pack.
And Goliath had not only his sword and shield and spears and bows and arrows, but he had somebody to carry his shield for him. He had a shield man in front of him.
Okay.
And here comes David, 6 feet tall, running like Shane does across the desert, And Goliath yells at him, "What am I, a dog that you send after me with staves?" In other words, shepherd herders, hello, young children.
Yeah.
And he says, "This day I'm going to give you your flesh to the beasts of the field and the fowl of the air, son, so you better run the other way while you got a chance." And what did David say in response? He said, "Oh no, but this day you are going to be food for the beasts of the field and fowl of the air and all of your army." So they ran together. Of course, David slung his sling and bam, hit him right between the eyes, knocked him out. He reached up and took Goliath's sharp double-edged sword out of its sheath and whacked his head off right out there in the middle of that field. I was out in that battlefield right there. I was watching it. I was trying to imagine the enormity of Goliath and the smallness of David. I couldn't do it. My brain couldn't wrap around that. But David took the Goliath's head in his own hand and carried it all the way back to Jerusalem, where he retrieved his reward. But then the king cheated him and didn't give him the king's daughter for his bride. So, really interesting story.
Oh, he never got the king's daughter?
No. He got another one, but not her. Not the one that was originally offered.
What about the taxes? Was he exempt?
Doesn't mention the taxes anywhere in Scripture.
I'll have to go back.
They probably
But
didn't have
he
to
was
wait
bound
that
by
long.
his own law to do it, whether he did it or not. If he's a liar, then you can't count on it.
Well, doesn't that go back to what was during those times tradition? Which was if you gave your daughter, he would have also essentially been giving David, at that time, what's the word I'm looking for? Inheritance. So maybe, so maybe that was another reason why that king backed out, because he was not actually expecting somebody to achieve it. He was like, yeah, all the other stuff, but then you give my inheritance, my kingdom? No.
Oh, okay.
Human nature.
We can't really understand these ancient kings. Many of them said that their word was absolute law and it couldn't be altered, and others of them had a really short memory and made it to sound the way they wanted it to be. Of course, we don't have that problem today.
I'm going to disagree.
Verse 19 of chapter 3, your wives, your little ones, your livestock, I know you have a lot of livestock, will stay in your cities which I have given you, until Adonai shows your brothers allows your brothers to rest, as he has allowed you. And they too take possession of the land Adonai your God is giving them on the west side of the Jordan. At that point you will return, each man to his own possession which I have given you. Also at that time I gave you orders to Yehoshua, your eyes have seen everything that Adonai your God has done to those two kings. Adonai will do the same to all the kingdoms you encounter when you cross over. Don't be afraid of them, because Adonai your God will fight on your behalf.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
So that's the end of the parashah for this week. And next week we're going to get into
Yochannan. And I implored.
Yochannan. What was he pleading about? He wanted to go into the land. He led these people for 40 years around the wilderness, all the way out from Egypt to where they were, and he's not going to get to go into the land. What a heartbreak.
He just wants to do the commandments that can only be done in the land of Israel.
But he's not going to pull that wool over God's eyes. So next week we will start in chapter 3, verse 23 with Yochannan, and we'll have another good study. Anybody have any more comments or questions about this week's parashah? I knew it. Come on, Shane, give me your best shot.
3, 7 through 4, 11. is a suggested reading with this week's parashah.
Hebrews what?
3, verse 7 through chapter 4, verse 11. So 7:11.
Oh. 7-Eleven. Sounds like a quick food stop place to me.
Yeah, but their machine was out of order, out of everything that was. Anyway, long story short.
Okay, 7-11.
Okay, here it
Powerful
is.
lesson there.
Here it is up on the screen for you.
It's a very powerful.
Therefore, as the
Message there.
Ruach HaKodesh says, today if you hear God's voice, don't harden your hearts as you did at bitter quarrel on the day of the wilderness when you put God to the test.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Marar.
Yeah.
And on that day in the wilderness when you put God to the test. Yes, your fathers put me to the test. They challenged me. They saw my work for 40 years. Therefore, I was disgusted with that generation. I said, their hearts are always going astray. They have not understood how I do things. In my anger, I swore that they would not enter my rest. Watch out, brothers, so that there will not be in any one of you an evil heart lacking trust, which could lead you to apostatize from the living God. Instead, keep exhorting each other every day as long as it is called today, so that none of you will become hardened by the deceit of sin. For we have become sharers in the Messiah, provided, however, that we hold firmly to the conviction that we began with right through until the goal is reached. Now, therefore, now where it says, today, if you hear God's voice, don't harden your hearts as you did in the bitter quarrel. Who were the people who, after they heard the quarrel so bitterly, all those whom Moses brought out of Egypt and with whom God was disgusted for 40 years, who sinned, yes, they fell dead in the wilderness, and to whom it was that he swore that they would not enter his rest, those who were disobedient. So we see that they were unable to enter because of the lack of trust. Therefore, let us be terrified of the possibility that even though the promise of entering his rest remains, his Sabbath, his rest remains, any one of you might be judged to have fallen short of it. For the good news has also been proclaimed to us, just as it was to them, but the message they heard didn't do them any good, because those who heard it did not combine it with trust. For as it is we who have trusted to enter the rest. It is just as he said, in my anger I swore that they would not enter my rest. He swore even though his works have been in existence since the founding of the universe. For there is a place where it is said concerning the seventh day, God rested on the seventh day from all his works. And once more, our present text says, they will not enter my rest. Therefore, since it still remains for some to enter, and those who received the good news earlier did not enter, he again fixes a certain day, today, saying through David so long afterwards in the text already given, today, if you hear God's voice, don't harden your hearts.
Do you have put notes on that? I think that's in Isaiah, where it says, they will not enter my rest. I'm almost positive, because actually Isaiah chapter 1.
It is. That's also.
Oh, I see it here, K. Note K.
Yeah.
Come on.
In Isaiah chapter 1, it just happens to be the Haftarah for this week.
Yep. There's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Through verse 27.
I'm trying to get it to go there.
Well, chastise it.
Go there! Now, Akshav!
One moment, please.
Please stand by.
I have a disobedient Bible here. I can't get it to go there.
I think we're sure.
Yeah. Where does it say the reference is?
Isaiah
Isaiah
chapter
1.
1.
Isaiah chapter 1. Okay.
Starting at verse 1 through 27.
And sure enough, it does say that in Isaiah chapter
Well, there you have it then.
1. Yeah.
Who needs this PC computer junk?
Ah, hey, you still need it for a lot of things.
Well, I've enjoyed the study tonight. I hope you have too.
Yep.
Those of you watching online, if you're sure to look over next week's Torah parashah and send me some questions, I'll be glad to try to address those during the class.
Hallelujah.
That will be at ravhall@tzion.org
Questions for next week or for
next week.
So ahead of time.
Yeah, for next Tuesday.
Ask your questions so they can be answered live. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? You've been very quiet tonight, Olivia. I'm proud of you. No.
Now, Rabbi. You did a good job, Rabbi.
Man.
You did a very good
Now
job.
watch out.
Thank
Rabbi.
you.
She does not receive that.
You are watching online. You need to send some questions in.
Lights over.
Right there. All right. Then we will call it good for tonight. And I hope all of you enjoy the study. And we'll return again next week for another good Torah class. And don't forget, we have our Shabbat morning services right here. Same time, same place. Only you go to our website and click on Zion ITV, and it'll take you right to our active broadcast programming. So, hope to see you on the air, on the internet, on the wire, I guess. I don't know.
We want to thank you for joining us online. Please stay tuned for another teaching this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. with a morning class called Bible Issues, dealing with everyday challenges that we need to overcome, and we can always seek scripture to do that with. And then we have our 11 a.m. main service with worship, liturgy, and another teaching. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again. Shalom, shalom.